How long do you guys shoot for then? Is it 26-week schedule and then a couple of weeks off here and there? How does that work?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. We last season we didn't take any time off at all. It was just straight through, and it was nuts. It was just like a week off for the holidays, maybe it was 2 weeks, but it was killer on the writers. This one we do about 3 or 4 weeks on and then a week off. So it's been like 4 weeks, 4 episodes, and then take a week off, 4 episodes and take a week off. So we'll be done in like the first week of March shooting, and then they'll just keep rolling for a while.
Do you try and fit little acting gigs in during those weeks off, or are those like vacation weeks for you?
No, absolutely vacation weeks or catching up with your life weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty easy schedule because since we have such a large cast, there are certainly episodes where I'm in just like 1 or 2 scenes, and so that's pretty great. It's a pretty great schedule, but lately I've been in every scene, it seems like, which is fun. Mm-hmm. But I'm starting to learn what it's like to really be on a TV show. God.
Well, you've had that in the past.
Yeah, definitely. But no, I did I haven't been on too many TV shows. I did Firefly back in 2000.
Well, that's the one I'm thinking of, yeah.
I had one episode where I was tortured with the captain, and that was the first time I ever went, wow, Nathan Fillion, like, your schedule is so hard. Because I was in every scene he was in, and I just remember being like, do you do this every episode? Yeah, because even as, that was another big cast. You would have days off here and there.
Well, talking about big cast, let's talk about Suburgatory here a little bit, just because, there's a lot of improv people, a lot of SNL people. Even your wife on the show is a Mad TV alumni. So
yeah, she's improv. She's hysterical. She's and she's got some stuff coming up. I kind of don't care, like, as far as spoilers or anything. I'm going to leave her. Our marriage hits the rocks again. It hit the rocks last season, but now it's going to end because I fall in love with my nanny, and or not even my nanny. It's Dallas Roberts takes her back, Carmen, and going through all of that, her character is in it a lot more. I was a little worried that when I left her, it's like, oh no, her character's going to go away, but it's actually become bigger. So
it's got a new twist. Everyone gets a new twist when that kind of thing happens.
Yeah.
She's
funny.
Do you want to tease some of the episodes coming up too? I guess next week's is when we're going to run this. So Blowtalks and Burlap is the episode.
Boy, I don't remember that one.
That's
what is it called?
Blowtalks and Burlap. I can give you a little rundown of it. Tessa brings
Ryan. Yeah, go for it.
Tessa brings Ryan to an art house movie on Valentine's Day. A visit from Sheila's mother creates friction when Dallas.
Oh, that one I'm not in.
Okay.
That is the one episode I'm not in this season.
Then we will run this the following week with T-Ball and Sympathy, and that works out well because it'll be Oscars week and Wreck-It Ralph's there, so that'll actually work out a little better.
Oh, great.
Do you remember the T-Ball episode?
Yes. Probably. Good God, I don't know the names of these things.
George and Dallas coach a T-ball team, is what it says.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes. That is, it's a very important, it's a big episode for me, and that's a fun one. I get to, it's sort of mentioned this season here and there that I'm stealing Dallas's staff because she took Carmen from me. So I've stolen her dog walker, which was in this last episode, is just mentioned that I stole Ashanti, even though I don't have a dog. I'm just taking her staff because I'm acting out, and our feud comes to a head in that episode, and we compete against one another with Little League T-ball teams, and it gets out of control. We use the children as our pawns. I have a bleach blonde blowout. My hair is this crazy because I stole her hairdresser, and every time she wanted to go to the hairdresser, I would go to the hairdresser and take up his whole day. So my hair gets too bleached because I keep going again and again and again. It's pretty ridiculous and fun.
How's your hair now?
Now my hair goes back to normal after T-ball.
You're good.
T-ball.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Did you take anything away from 42 to bring to that episode? I am sort of I'm the coach of the T-ball team, and I was the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. So it wasn't too far, except I wasn't quite as a racist. Yes, I would think
a historically racist. I don't know what to call him. Character as I was in 42. Ben Chapman. He was the manager player of the Philadelphia Phillies. He would fill in if they needed something. He was a pitcher at one time. He was a good ball player back in his day. He played with DiMaggio and Babe Ruth. He was on the Yankees, but he had a temper and was a racist. And they traded him whenever his batting average went down. They got rid of him because he was such a handful. And the main sort of legacy he left for himself was that when Jackie Robinson and the Phillies played a series in Brooklyn, that he would go out or step out of the dugout and yell every racial slur at him and bait him to try to get him to fluster him and get his pitchers to throw at his head. And he said all this stuff with reporters right there, and they would just write it down. And he was in Brooklyn. He went to Brooklyn to do it. It wasn't like he was in his own backyard. He went there, and they wrote it all down. And was it Walter Winchell? I think it was the reporter had a campaign to get rid of him, to get him out of baseball. And he ended up having to not really apologize. He had to take a picture with him.
Yeah, I read that.
And the famous, there's a picture of the two of them together to show that he's okay with him. But he wouldn't shake his hand. He wouldn't touch his skin. And so they're just holding a bat. It's an interesting picture. And we kind of go through that little section in the movie.
That must have been interesting for you to play, and kind of maybe, I don't know, but uncomfortable at the same time. I mean, obviously that's not you, right? So
wildly uncomfortable, man. Because it was just like a couple of days in a row of just standing out in the hot sun. I guess we were in Atlanta, maybe we were in Tennessee, just yelling the worst racial slurs I've never seen. Like when I first read the script, I was like, let me go rewatch Mississippi Burning and see if they even go this far. They don't, because it was just kind of that was what he was about. Just one after another, after another, after another. And I'm sitting in a stadium where there's a bunch of African Americans in the African American section, the black section of the. So I made an announcement before we started, because I had it one time. They were sitting behind me, and I was like, "Y'all just know that this is. I'm going to say a lot of things that are very offensive.
Yeah.
I'll apologize beforehand that this is historic in nature, and this is it's going to be offensive." And they couldn't believe it, but they were all. I mean, there's some shocked people, but so there were also people coming up to me, going, "You know what you should say? Here's my favorite racial slur." So. It wasn't too foreign for some. They're like, "Oh, that's a good one. I got one too."
Did the writers, or I guess the script supervisor, allow you to chuck that in there?
Yeah, Brian Helgeland wrote and directed it. He and I worked together on A Knight's Tale, which he also wrote and directed.
Oh,
and this is our first time working together again, which is fantastic. We've always stayed friends over all these years,
And it's because it was like we were all so young when we did it. It was a really great time in Prague for almost 5 months. And he kind of kept everybody, whenever Heath was around, and we would always go out and stuff. So he kept us all together as a group. And now he's doing it. He's directing again, and so he wanted me to play this role specifically because he could be such a villain. And one of the things about Ben Chapman, when you read interviews about people who knew him, the people who were his friends, he was a nice guy. Everybody liked him. A lot of people liked him. He was funny. And that's what he wanted, somebody who was a good old boy. It was just a good old boy who had this narrow view of race. And I certainly have. Do you hear that?
That's emails coming to my phone. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had a narrow view of race, and so he didn't want him to be, dun, 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 and then this evil person comes on. Like, all right, I'm going to take him down. That he's somebody who's out there having a good time. These are good. These are good old jokes. And so he had asked me, especially during Chadwick Boseman's cover, who plays Jackie Robinson and does. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
He does an excellent job. I'm very impressed by it. I saw it, and he's new, and it's a huge role. The movie is hung on his shoulders, and he looks like him. I remember going in thinking, "Oh, that's good. I hope he can act." That is neat. But he does it. Boy, he does a good job. I'm really, I think it's a really good movie, and a huge part because of him. But he wanted me Brian Helgeland wanted me to add things to my lines, add slurs that Chadwick knows aren't in the script. So, to feel his reactions.
Yeah. You seem to take, this is obviously a different role for you, but you seem to do a lot of, I don't want to say, random is not the right word, but interesting characters that you go all over the map, from something like, from even Ben Chapman to Steve the Pirate, or
right.
a robot in iRobot, or,
right.
a pedophile on CSI. What do you look for in a role? Is it just, things you haven't done before, interesting characters?
I usually, I don't really have anything I look for. I've been really fortunate in the roles that I've been given to do. I've definitely auditioned for a lot that I'm glad I didn't get. There have been times ooh, I hope I get this, and then when I didn't, and I see it come out and go, good, that would have not been a great thing. I think people, just because of what I've done in the past, approach me with interesting roles when they don't know what we don't know what to do with this. Oh, who's that guy that did that thing? We need that guy. I was just approached with a role it's a character who is deaf and mute. He doesn't have a tongue. And it's a comedy. And this guy's throughout the whole thing, and he doesn't have any words. They want somebody who can make it really funny.
Huh. How do you make that funny without being offensive, I guess?
That would have been the chore. I didn't do it.
Oh, okay.
That would have been the trick. But I feel like people go, oh, who might be able to figure this out? And it's that. If that is the case, that's flattering.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I said no to that. I'm very happy to get the chance to go all over the place. It is great. Now I feel like there was a time when I wished I could have just done one thing, but when I was younger, I was like, I just need to just do the same thing again and again and again, so people can recognize me, because I keep changing. That was a young man's complaint. I'm 42 now. Damn it.
And still getting to voice cartoon characters. That's the best part.
Yeah, man, I'm having a blast. That was so much fun. That Wreck-It Ralph is one of my favorite movies I've ever been in. Just as a overall piece of entertainment. I've always liked Pixar and Disney, but I'm just so impressed the way that it was a 2-year process from the original script to the end. How they don't miss a beat. There's always, like right at the end where they lift up Wreck-It Ralph, they're gonna everything's good, and they're gonna throw him off the building. You're like, oh, this is great. And my favorite part is when they lift me up and I get to see her and the other thing. It's just, there's every moment they really get you. It's just so well done. So it was a really well crafted movie.
Where did your voice come from? Like it sounds like an old Jewish New Yorker with a lisp, but yet kitty almost. The foundation is built on the voice of Ed Wynn, who was a vaudeville he's actually from Philadelphia, but he was that vaudeville character, and he did voices for Disney. And they had said, I got the job from a reading of the script the first time that they read it for the Pixar honchos. Whoever was supposed to read my role couldn't do it. And he fell out just a few days before, and my agent convinced him to let me give it a shot. And just like called me, he's like, I think you should do this thing. Can you do an Ed Wynn voice? Can you do something like that? I don't know who that is, but I'll work on it. And went up there and did the read-through, and it was with John Lasseter. It was in front of John Lasseter and everybody at Pixar, so it was a really great audience to have, and it went really well, and we built on that. As the role evolved, he became more evil. He had more of a backstory. The role got bigger and more complex, and so Ed Wynn is always there, but there was also Ruth Gordon, just sort of a delivery that she had, and Charles Nelson Riley was a little bit in there. I hear that, yeah.
There's just and Jerry Lewis has some moments. It's just all of those very brash kind of, and it is that sort of Eastern sound, Jewish. It's a bunch of characters all in one guy, little pieces from all the things that I loved growing up, and also when I was in my 20s, and going to school in New York, I just fell in love with vaudeville and would go to the Museum of Radio and Television and watch old shows because YouTube wasn't around yet. Yeah. And so I would go watch the Show of Shows and Jack Benny and a lot of different Milton Berle, like all of those old guys. There'd be like the Colgate Hour, and you could just there'd be all these different things, like young Dick Van Dyke as a dancer. Like, what? It was so cool. So I drew from all of that. It was just sort of still kicking around in my brain.
The character, at least on screen, is very animated, and I'm sure, I don't know if you were able to do that in the booth. Jack McBrayer came up here to Toronto, like on the junket for the film, and he was saying that you were able to collaborate with other actors in the booth, which isn't typical for voice roles, and that there was enough space for him, not to explore the space, but enough for him to still move around and not be confined to just the mic and the booth.
Right.
Does that, obviously it helps when you're trying to voice a character, but did I don't know where my question is going here, but do you want to talk? Do you want to talk about that experience a little bit, maybe?
I definitely working with. The only person I read with was John C. Reilly, and it was invaluable. It was so great. I learned a lot. Just I'm a fan of his to begin with, but the way he approached the role was like an actor approaching a role for any film. He was, he would say, I'm saying my character wants this in the last scene, and then when we come here, I sort of loses steam. What if that want continued all the way through, and instead we move this piece over to here? Like the vision for the character was, he was staying true to the character.
and not just catering to each scene and doing a voice for each scene, finding funny things, which I could, that would be a trap that I could fall into. It's like, you got a funny voice, I can find a lot of funny things to do, but the real skill is to maintain a character that may have a funny voice and does funny things, but is true to, his arc in the script. And working with him was amazing. And there was a scene where I have to tell Ralph, look, listen, you're helping her and you shouldn't. She's a glitch and she's going to get hurt, and I'm trying to protect her. I know she doesn't like me, but and it becomes a sort of touching scene between the two of them. I'm lying, actually, but
right.
That scene we worked on, and that I just really like how it all came out, because that was between two people. And as far as moving around, I move around wherever I am, so I didn't notice. I move around while I drive. It's a problem. Move around everywhere.
Given the success, I mean, obviously, I think you're going to start getting some calls, if you haven't already, for more voice work because of the success of this film.
Right.
Are you just working on voices now, almost when you're by yourself in the car, just consistently, just thinking of, I mean, I do it from time to time, so I'm wondering if someone who actually gets paid to do it does it too.
No. Yes, no, I don't know. I have enough to work on that's actual. That's great. That's fantastic. That I have, either it's an audition or I've got some vocal stuff that I'm going to be doing that I can't yet talk about.
Yeah, sure.
Unfortunately, but I'm learning Swedish accent right now that I'm working on. So I was actually just in my car working on the Swedish accent, and another English accent as well. So, and then there's another. There's a movie that is looking better and better, like it's going to get made, and it would put me in a sort of English accent that's that sort of that lower class fucking.
Oh yeah.
Oh son, fucking treacle. that accent, which I love. So.
That's good. It sounded like someone. I'm trying to think of who now that
a little Ray Winstone.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Oh, you cunt.
Yeah, if you get to say things like that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I guess LA is the place to be for voice, because you're just constantly in your car. That's so much time to work on those voices. It's great.
Yeah, yes, and it's you got to be careful, because you get. I'm sure you've done this, where you're in the grocery store or someplace, and you answer yourself, or or you're in the aisle and you go, "Oh yeah, but I got to do that tomorrow."
Yeah,
and that comes out. You'll and then there's someone right there who's like, "Oh, hey." Where I was last night eating, and I grabbed a bite to eat at this place that has a counter. So I was sitting alone eating, and I was thinking about this role that I had been working on, this voiceover role, and I was going through it, and I didn't realize I was sort of acting it, sitting there, and turned and looked, and I noticed it when I saw the look on the guy's face staring at me, like, the hell is wrong with that guy? It was, I kind of got caught up.
That's amazing. Yeah. I've always wanted to do that when I was serving tables. Just go up to a different table with an accent, just to see what it would be like, and then just to go with it. Anyway, before I let you go here, we do something called 5 questions, 5 quick questions, 1-word answers.
Mm-hmm.
Hitchcock or Kubrick?
Kubrick.
Lennon or McCartney?
Lennon.
Your biggest influence as an actor?
Wilder. Oh, but that's because that's one word. Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
Role you're most proud of?
I'll say Simon from Death at a Funeral.
Cool. And in 1 word, now I don't know where I want to go with this. Let's go with, we'll go 1 word, Wreck-It Ralph. I don't know. I could just go.
It's a dream. It's truly a dream. It's a dream. I just won an Annie Award the other night, and I don't win awards.
You just won an Emmy Award?
An Annie Award, the animation awards that were just out for. It's like the Oscars of animation, and I was up for a best voice in the motion picture for animation, and
congratulations! How did I not realize that in my research? That's crazy.
I don't know. It just happened like the other night, and I can't. And it was something that when I was nominated for it, I was like, oh, that's great. And looked at all the people that I was up against who were some very great actors, and there's so many there's so many movies that are out. And I didn't take it at all seriously because I didn't write a thank you if I won. Because I didn't want to invest in it. Mm-hmm. It's just it's an honor, and this is really cool. And I'm looking forward to just seeing people and seeing what the Annies are about and meeting people. And then they gave it to me, and I'm just so every day that goes by, I'm a little bit more like, wait, that really did. Since I sort of avoided thinking about it in the run up, now I'm thinking about it a lot. It's very cool. So Wreck-It Ralph is a dream because I can't even believe from the beginnings, from the first read through 2 years ago, and spending a day at Pixar, because you fly up there on Southwest Airlines. They don't send a jet. You think they'd send a jet. They send no jet. You go up there on Southwest Airlines with Sarah Silverman and Jane Lynch and Jack McBrayer, and John C. Reilly was not yet attached to it. So they hadn't cast his role or my role. I was just filling in. I was reading that day, and there was a different ending. There was a whole different arc to it, and we read. It went well, and you have to hang out all day at Pixar to catch your next plane, which is later in the day, and they take you and show you all these amazing things and show you short films that people haven't seen yet, and they take you to all the offices and they give you scotch. There's like a bar behind the wall in some guy's office. He has a Shakespeare head in his office, just like the old Batman, and he puts a switch, and the wall goes, and you go sit in there, and it was such a great, they go into the shop where all the merchandise is. Take whatever you want that's in there. Just grab what you want. It's all yours. It's all free. Probably cost them like $1 to make it all. Yeah. You're like, look at this. I get it all for free. And it was just a fun day. And then they send us all big buckets of candy afterwards. Or I guess they sent me. I don't know what everybody else got, but I got a big bucket of candy.
Right.
And I met John Lasseter, and he put his arm around me, and after we did the read-through, and said, "It is very good to meet you." And I was like, I think I may have gotten this job. And so from then, and then just getting to play with it, do it roll, and it grew, and they're like, we're gonna add some more of him, and it took shape, and to the final thing that they added right at the end, where he gets so dark, where the character gets so dark. I saw the animation, some early parts of the animation where I was beating Sarah. I was beating her with a car antenna. Jesus Christ! I mean, that's something pimps do. They do that they beat people with car antennas. This is not what you expect to see in a Disney movie. Anyway, getting to just follow it all the way through, and then be a part of something that has been nominated for all these different things, and then actually getting a nomination at the Annies and winning. Really neat.
So where is it sitting now? Where's the trophy? Where's the award?
Well, they don't. They take it away from you the minute they give it to you. They take it and they're like, we're going to write your name on it and all of that. So I'm going to make. So it is coming in the mail.
Right.
So the last award I won was in 1997. I won the Clarence Derwent Award for Best New York Debut in Theater.
Oh, there you go.
They give out a one to a man and one to a woman every year. They give 2 awards out, and it was a big deal. And it was a really great award. There's cash that comes with it. It was very cool.
What show was that for?
Bunny Bunny.
Bunny Bunny.
It was off-Broadway.
Okay.
It was about Gilda Radner, and it was my first job ever in New York, and Allison Janney won the female. Her and I were the recipients that year. And although technically she had been around a little longer, but she was so unbelievable in this in Present Laughter on Broadway. Like, stole the show.
She always does.
Yeah, she's so good. And so I won that award. So now I have this other award. Many, 15 years later, I'm going to now build a trophy case. Now that I have two, that's a trophy case. One is a shelf.
Right.
It's somewhere, maybe in the back of a toilet, I don't know. But this is going to be a trophy case, and now I have two, and I'm going to fill out the rest of it, of the case, with just trophies I buy. I'm going for karate, I think.
Oh.
I was looking at trophies the other day. I really am. They have. I was thinking women's softball, but that's. They have figure skating trophy. I think that'd be a good one because it's got a good man on the.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Top with the skating. Yeah,
it was a nice pose.
Yeah, nice pose, and definitely skating. There's a gymnast, and there's. Oh, I want to do like an MMA belt. I just full on. Also did that. Yeah, I did that for a while. So I'm gonna have fun filling it out, and then there'll just be two awards in there that actually I won.
Right.
So it's going to be a fun addition to my house.
Maybe that's why the dog peed everywhere. Maybe it's jealous of all these awards.
Oh, Clara.
Maybe she wants.